sending a shock of pain up his arm and a stab of fear through his whole body. Although Slotnick was an urbane lawyer known for his $2,500 Fioravanti suits, he was not unacquainted with violence. He'd had a couple of close brushes with death many years earlier, first when a bomb exploded at his office, and then when a client was gunned down while standing right next to him. But Slotnick had never been personally assaulted, until right now. He ran into the park to escape, but had traveled only a few yards when the assailant caught up with him, raining blows on his back and arms with the weapon, which Slotnick thought might be a baseball bat with a nail sticking out of it. As bystanders approached, the assailant fled, jumping on a waiting motorcycle piloted by a helmeted accomplice, and sped away. Slotnick stumbled back to the safety of his car, where Roberto apologized for not having been able to help. It had all happened so fast. Roberto had frozen and had only just managed to unfasten his seatbelt. "I think my arm is broken," Slotnick said. "Take me to the hospital." As Roberto drove, Slotnick inventoried the damage. His left hand throbbed. There were puncture wounds to his right arm. His back and arms felt covered with cuts and bruises. And he now noticed that his $15,000 gold Piaget polo watch had been lost in the scuffle. At New York Infirmary, Beekman Downtown Hospital, an orthopedic surgeon x-rayed Slotnick's arm and found the fracture. Then Slotnick's nephew, Rich, a Wall Street trader and martial arts black belt, arrived at the hospital, having heard about the attack on the newswire. "Oh," Slotnick said, "Karate Boy shows up now." Stuart Slotnick, a rising senior at Scarsdale High School, was working at the register at Sam Goody in the Galleria in White Plains when his friend Eddie called. Eddie was so distraught he could barely speak. "Your dad was attacked," he finally managed. "I saw it on the news." Stuart immediately called his mother. "Everything's okay," Donna assured him. "His wrist is broken, but he's okay." At the record store, Stuart's manager came up to him and said, "You should call home." "I know already," Stuart said. Everyone at the job knew who Stuart's dad was. Chapter 3. More than a dozen newspapers from around the country were fanned out in front of Slotnick on his glass-top desk the next morning. He was back in the office, and his assistant, Pam, had gotten them from a nearby newsstand that carried papers from around the country. Once she plunked them down in front of her boss, Slotnick awkwardly began flipping through the papers with his right hand. His left arm was immobilized in a sling. Friday wasn't the worst day to be in the news. That was Saturday, where the news went to die. But Slotnick's preferred day was Tuesday. The Monday dam burst of pent-up weekend news was over, clearing the way for more column inches and better play, and it was still early enough in the week for slowpoke journalists to do the follow-up coverage. The New York Times had the story on the first page of the Metropolitan News section. Slotnick hurt in attack leaving his office. Slotnick nodded approvingly. The New York Daily News had it on page 2. Slotnick beaten. Thugs attack Goetz lawyer. Not bad either. There was nothing by Breslin, but that was probably a good thing. Jimmy Breslin, the famous newspaper columnist, tended to be snide whenever he mentioned Slotnick. Besides, Breslin was moving from the Daily News to Newsday, so Slotnick guessed himself to be a beneficiary of Breslin's hiatus. Both wire services, AP and UPI, had run stories which meant that the news of Slotnick's attack had been picked up by papers all over North America, from Mississippi to Nebraska to Quebec. The Philadelphia Daily News: Goetz's lawyer battered. Police at a loss for motive in attack. The Palm Beach Post: biker with baseball bat clubs Goetz's lawyer on NYC street. Slotnick paused to study a large photo accompanying one of the articles. Other than the sling, he looked perfectly put together, his tie elegantly knotted, not a hair out of place. He appreciated that every headline referred to him as Goetz's lawyer or the subway gunman's lawyer. It showed he moved beyond the headlines that referred to him as a mob chieftain's lawyer and the like. Only appropriate as far as Slotnick was concerned. Besides his OC clients, as he referred to the organized crime figures